Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mike's, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, and our co-sponsor CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. I'm Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Aaron Campbell.
Hi.
Ruben Bressler.
How are you this evening? How's everybody doing?
It's good. This is not the most news-packed week,
No.
per se. But we do have...
But that means that we will fill in the rest of it with ire and rage for each other, usually.
Wow.
Is what ends up
True.
happening.
That's
Right.
true. I think we have enough to chew on, though. I think we have a nice, diverse range of topics, and yeah.
We got some peppering, if you were. Nothing out of the stratosphere, but some good stuff. Some good, solid
Well, you guys
stuff.
are the pepper, and I'm the salt. Am I right?
I agree
Wow.
with that.
All right. Well, we also begin with a trumpet blast. You can get one if you support us at our highest level on Patreon. We don't have one this week, but we do kick it off with our first pick and giveaway. The giveaway this week, it is the release week for Magic Core 2019. It is time to give away a booster box. We are giving away a full-blown booster box. If you live overseas, we have to give you a gift certificate because those are the rules we have to play by. I can't do it if you're in Canada or Australia. It's weird. I'm sorry. It's just a bunch of weird rules. All I'm saying is, otherwise, you're good. Go. Links in the chat.
Do the thing.
Let people know. Full booster box. You could win one. Thanks to CoolStuffInc.com.
There you go.
Yeah. So, first pick this week. We did a complete set review. We did a 14 and a half hour, I think at least for me, day of just nonstop filming and running and doing.
Not this set, a different set. Don't freak out.
The other one.
You didn't miss our Core M19 complete set review because we didn't do one.
And I got some emails on that, and I had to clarify it. We did not actually do one of those for a variety of reasons. One of them being we were wanting to get the products that were produced as a result of the Kickstarter to be made and done with. So the artwork took a lot longer than we expected. A lot longer than we expected, but all's well, as I'm going to bring up my Karn, which will be a 0/0 construct token that Evan gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. That'll be fun. So that's my big ball.
Now, Aaron tells me that this particular art is popular amongst a subset of a particular group of tutus for a colorless and a green. Is that accurate, Aaron?
Yes. Wow. So Evan is a big hit with what's called the bear community, a subsection of the gay community. And so the bears, that I know at least, have signed off on your token, and they want a token. So the bears approve. You're a big hit with the bears.
That's
there
great.
We go. Perfect.
I'm a giant human. It's how it works. And now I'm a giant metal thing.
There you go.
Karn person. And, #5kids, #4fingers. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I got them.
You got those cartoon.
Got those
paws.
Disney fingers, going on.
So I'm assuming with 5 kids, you don't believe in contraception.
Contraception. Nice. Wow. 10 out of 10. Well done.
A-. It's fine. We'll bring up Aaron's final artwork here. Aaron, you came out terrific as it's Jorah, right? This is Jorah?
Jorah, yeah. Shout out to my friend Chris who helped me because we had to do, so for those who don't know, we had to submit live pictures of ourselves modeling or posing as the characters that we were portraying from that initial Dominaria shot. And my friend Chris and I, we did a photo shoot in the parking lot of their local game store because we didn't have much notice. Like, I think you sent us a message on like a Friday and you were like, yeah, I need pictures by Monday. And so we were like, wow. And so we literally took because Jorah was kind of like, the three of them were kind of on like a precipice or like a peak or a cliff. And so we tried doing all sorts of things like my foot on a barrel, my foot on a flower pot. And ultimately we ended up taking the lid off like a garbage container to like give me that incline. And so my friend Chris ended up taking a couple pictures of me. We did it in about 30 minutes. And then I sent them to you and you sent them to the artist and they turned out really well. But yeah, just some of the things you have to do to make these things happen.
Oh yeah. And for Mr. Lubufu, good job on so Karn descending, if you will.
Very condescending.
I
can't hardly believe it.
Wow.
Oh man.
And last, I won't believe who I think is the winner of this set of artworks.
I think I have the best one.
Ruben's looks pretty fantastic. It's on the screen now. We have the eyebrow.
Zolfir is my new aesthetic. I definitely need to get this outfit for myself because this is a good look. Look at that. Look at that, man. I mean,
that was a powerful
the Anubis
pose.
staff, the vest belt combo. Boy, the eyebrow. I love it.
Yeah, it comes through. fantastically. So right now, like as we speak, we're finalizing the final look of the tokens, the regular ones and the foil ones, and we're able to make that stuff and get that stuff sent out. I also
honestly, they're all great. They're all really well done. It did take a little while, but you know what? It's just like the old. You can either have it cheap, you can have it fast, or you can have it well done. You got to pick 2 of the 3. We picked 2 of the 3, I think, maybe 1 of the 3, and now they're here.
Now they're here.
Yeah.
And that's terrific. And we have one final one here, of course, which is all 3 of us together.
Right. And of course, we picked off of the Dominaria key art originally with Teferi, Joyra, and Karn. The first image that we were shown of Dominaria all those months ago, and sort of we've copied them. I'm super ecstatic with what ended up resulting here. My mom wants to have an 8.5 by 11 of mine hanging in our house. We get a glossy to hang up next to my high school graduation photo. That's how good these are.
Gonna go talk to Sears. Gonna have
that's right.
Gonna be a portrait
go
bundle.
Down to Walgreens, get them printed.
All right, so those are super fun, and including, let's see, did I link this? Yes, the fan promos.
Oh my God!
Eric Gamer of Games at 24_Eric took this artwork as was shared, made a few mock cards, if you will. Evan Tapper of Cards, Ruben Roaster of Taters. Oh yes.
He spelled my name wrong, but he did give me the shaman creature type, which I really appreciated.
Shaman.
Shaman.
An Aaron Bazaar Enthusiast, which was, I thought, really cute.
That's the best card of the bunch. The casting cost, the flavor text, the effect, it's just all perfect.
Yeah, mine was fantastic. I love that he, and he told me that he purposely made me a 1/4 because he knows how much I hate lightning bolts, and so I don't die to a lightning bolt. So you get me, Eric, you get me. It's just brilliant.
That was sweet. So that was super fun, but we'll have the final artwork coming out soon. It's just not ready yet, but we're getting there. However, you can see the artwork in progress if you join our Discord channel, which you can do.
We've also discussed, I don't know if it's an official part of the Kickstarter, but we have putzed around with the idea of maybe making these play mats of the central art. I don't know if that's official, but we talked about it.
Not for. I don't think we were doing that for this one. We might do it for a future Kickstarter.
Okay.
Right. We didn't promise it for this one, if only because it's just sort of like one more thing. Like if you've never fulfilled a crowdfunder thing, it is not easy.
Yeah, and I think we were aiming low because we didn't expect to get funded.
Right.
We're just will you please? We
are going to have one for
cards.
the fall. Yeah. We are going to have a Guilds of Ravnica Kickstarter coming in several months.
Me as Savra. Yes.
And so we'll do all the things for that. We'll probably do something pie related. I got a couple coming my way. We'll do something playmat related. We'll do something Savra related. Stuff like that.
I think the idea of a stretch goal that puts you in the Teferi cosplay, that'd be some pretty hot fire. To help pay for the materials that would be necessary.
I would just walk around like that.
It would just be.
I would just
slam down your scepter.
Like the grocery store, just show up at work like that. That outfit is fire.
It doesn't go with your fanny pack though. The one you like to put tamales in.
Right. Yeah. The fanny pack is a poker dealer exclusive. That I have to wear my uniform when I'm there.
What a great artifact that would make Teferi's fanny pack.
Oh my God.
For the next unset.
Like a magical bag of holding.
Yeah. Yes.
That'd be sweet. All
Druidic
right.
satchel.
So we'll move here to gather the townsfolk.
Yeah, move to actual news.
Factual news about real Magic events. Brian Kibler was involved in the Silver Spotlight. Now, if you didn't hear us rant about the Silver Spotlight for 15 minutes, you can check out last week's show. Let's see, the short version is that Wizards hyped an event, which ended up being an invitation-only event to 4 Magic luminaries, 3 Hearthstone players, and a poker player. They decided to, instead of giving the $150K to charity, they decided to give it to the players, minimum $12,500 for just showing up, which no one blames them for participating.
No one blames the players, but it is an awkward situation and bad visuals.
And they are, instead of the players getting to keep
optics,
all these...
That's what I meant.
Yeah, the optics are just horrendous. And they're opening it up, beta and Legends and Antiquities and Arabian Nights packs on stream, because that's when you bring in Hearthstone luminaries, you want to show them cards they're never going to see or afford. Then Wizards is going to not only not be able to say a word about how expensive something is, they could literally open a beta Black Lotus and Wizards are going to be like, wow, that's a heck of a game piece. That's a classic blah, 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 versus you just won a house. You actually just opened a house right here. Anyway, they're going to give those and auction those off to charity, though, again, they can't talk about how valuable they may or may not be. So, Kibler took this, and you want to talk about taking the lemon and making the lemonade. This man knows what he's doing when it comes to marketing, promotions, branding, turning himself into something that could have been horribly awkward or uncomfortable, and check what he did. Brian Kibler tweeted, "I'm pleased to announce that I will be teaming with TBS Dash, that's the Bensec, and
the Bensec,
the Bensec, and Jamie Park for Pro Tour 25th anniversary. We will be giving 100% of our winnings to charity. We are also running a fundraiser for the ACLU, which I will match up to 100% of my Silver Showcase winnings. So if they raise, was it 50 grand, which is the number one prize, and if he wins the 50 grand, he'll donate all of that to the ACLU. So you take anything that can be in terms of bad, like, look, you donate, I'll donate. I'll give it all back. It's fine, because this ultimately, the optics are so bad, this pivot is just the perfect way to do this. I feel personally this would be fantastic for everyone who's involved, if they so choose, of course. This is a great way to kind of say, look, you're arguably not going to be giving up all of your winnings, but you're going to be able to have a healthy donation to an awesome cause that you support, while also showing that this kind of came off bad, but we can make the best out of it.
Yeah, surfing, this really highlights, why Kibler kind of moved on. The fact that he does seem to think so far ahead, and that he does understand, things like branding in a way that a lot of people and a lot of pros don't. And so, yeah, this is very typical for him, and I think it's great. And can I just talk about Ben Sec for a minute? Every time I see Ben Sec, I always wish he would start a blog called Sex in the City, like about his travels as a Magic player, like SECK. That'd be great. Like, I would read that. Like, really I told him that one time, and he was kind of horrified. He's like, "I'm going away from you now," but I was like, "Got you."
Oh, that's a great. That's Brandon right there. That's good Brandon.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ben Sec is great. People. So is Jamie.
Yeah.
Jamie is a day trader by trade. He's well known for bringing the entirety of Standard with him in his bag, and then whittling the deck down as he goes. Throughout the week of preparation for the Pro Tour.
Wow.
Excellent team. Just really well done, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how well they do.
Absolutely.
You can tell that I've been studying too much for my Series 6 and 63 test, because when you said day trader, Ruben, I immediately thought of hedge funds, which are a very illiquid. They're illiquid. They're not.
Yes.
They're not liquid. So don't.
A lot of Magic players do work in hedge funds.
And very volatile.
That's what John Finkel does, I think.
Yeah, volatile and illiquid.
Wow.
That describes us as well.
The volatile illiquid of the Magic community. All right. So again, that was kudos to Kibler.
Yeah.
I'm not super surprised that we're talking about him in this way, and that he took this and he made it the best it could be. But that was great. So moving on here, we have new MTG Judge promos, and they're pretty odd fire, pretty cool. Max Khan at Max Plays MTG tweeted them out for us. We get the new frame Nin the Pain Artist, which is terrific. For those who don't know, it's a red and blue 1/1 that has red blue X tap : it deals X damage to target creature. That creature's controller draws X cards. So of course you can always just zap your own things, as she is the Pain Artist, and
Sure.
Yeah, that's how she works. Up next is Vampiric Tutor, giving the most Ruben-esque.
Brilliant.
This is a very Ruben-esque pose I need to see. It is, for those who don't know, Vampiric Tutor is 1 black for a instant that originally showed up in Visions, and search your library for a card, then shuffle your library and put it on top of it, and you lose 2 life. And you just have that freakish...
He just looks so bothered, like he's in the middle of something and you're bothering him trying to get something from him. And so I think it's great and very meme worthy. It's definitely, people have definitely cropped the image out and have used it as a, an MFW, my face win. And so it's fine.
What'd you say? Excuse me? It's just mate. Like, it was just such a weird, like, I don't know, aggressive, I guess is the word. That face is coming for you. That face is happening.
I really need to blink soon.
Do you?
Do you? Okay, that was enough of that.
Wow. All right. That was
great. I was a little weirded by Nin. According to EDH Rec, Nin is the 12th most popular commander.
Are you serious?
Maybe 11th, because their count 10th. because some of these are 3 colors. There are more like Narset Enlightened Master decks than there are Ninja Patriots decks.
Really? Wow.
So I was just a little bit. I thought that was weird. I didn't know that was one that needed reprinting. I love the new Tutor art. I think it's great. I love the memes that it's spawned. I think it's awesome.
I mean, ultimately, Nin is not the most expensive card you could be printing. However, it's also one of those, like, this is the pimp version. So, like, it's going to be, like, $20 to $30, whatever. Vampiric Tutor is clearly the big winner. That's the one you want to be worth, like, a $100 bill or whatever. And these are, again, distributed in a strange way. It's hard to know, like, the science of what they're doing these days. Back in the day, you used to get a judge packet, like, full of foils. And that was like, here is your gift for the weekend. That kind of turned out to be tax evasion. So we stopped doing that. And then we did something else, which is like they reward them via regional coordinators for their good job and whatever, and we actually pay them money now. So that was a thing that happened for a bit.
I'm looking at the most popular all-time commanders of things that we could use reprints of. Obviously, we just got an Atraxa reprint, so that one's not too high on my list. Kalia of the Vast, still going for around $20. That's a pretty popular one. I wouldn't be too surprised to see a future Kalia. I think we recently got an Animar Soul of Elements in Eternal Masters, so that one's not too bad. Izuri Claw of Progress, still way up there. So Nin was not the highest on my list. I don't know.
All I'm saying is Cyclonic Rift is a $15 card. I can't.
Also, with the banner restrictor update last week, we didn't talk about how Cyclonic Rift survived another sweep there. That's a weirdo.
Yeah, I mean, no bannings.
Yeah, but I mean, 4 printings, it's $15. It's literally used basically mono casual. I mean, it was good in standard. It wasn't amazing, but it was good.
Yeah.
You know, it still saw some play. But things like that are one of those, like, man, I just really... another thing was like, there's going to be this run on Rishkar's expertise. Like, it's primed. It's in a whole bunch of green decks in EDH Rec, and it's the foils are starting to jump or whatever. And it's like, if you want to get in, it's MTG Fine Aunts. You know what I'm saying? Anyway,
I can't do it.
Sure you can. Move on here to a different EDH-like format, if you will, in terms of Brawl. Brawl is the standard commander, essentially. You can use planeswalkers or legendary creatures. It's a singleton format where you have 60 cards, one of them being the commander and the /planeswalker commander.
Do you know how long it took me to realize that it was only a 60 card format?
Came in like Battle of Whitsun for a little bit.
No, but I thought I was treating it like regular Commander, and I think we were getting ready for GP Columbus Room, and do you remember? And I was just like, I'm running. How am I supposed to come up with 100 cards? And you were like, you're not. Format is a mess. Yeah.
The format is sweet. For those, and there's certainly at this point those who are saying that because this one event at this one Grand Prix only had one person in it, the format's dead. We're done. Stick a fork, y'all. Finished. And I'm like, what? Same people who would also note that the attendance to the Grand Prix is down 25% when there's 33% less Grand Prix at that event.
Right.
There was there was 3 Grand Prix last year. There's only 2 this year. Just want to note that. Okay, so we're clear.
Got it.
All right. Moving on. They mentioned essentially that Brawl has been super popular, and it has been super popular. I've seen it show up all over in Cool Stuff Games stores and stuff. And that's fine, and that's cool. But like for the people who seem to love it seem to really enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the people we follow. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think the point... Go ahead.
For doing spell slinging, I will say that Brawl is the most common, one of the most common things that people bring up,
Really?
other than the format of whatever the Grand Prix is. People will bring, if it's a modern GP, they'll bring their modern deck to play or something like that. But people, it seems like it's the extra deck that they bring along if they want to come over to spell slinging. So I've noticed that.
Yeah, and there's been some really fun ones. I've had a good time with it. It's just a different feel. Again, it's not the, like, I have to have Soul Ring in this no matter what. I have to have these fetch lands, these dual lands I can't afford, like whatever. So that's cool. And, of course, it's good for Wizards because it sells packs, and that's what they're in it for.
Absolutely.
So Wizards essentially saying that they are going to up the store support. Right now, there's basically none. There's nothing that rewards you for playing Brawl in your store, and they certainly could have. So they're going to look at that. They haven't said anything exactly how they're going to make that happen, but that's a thing in his stuff. Rotation's coming. you know, getting a little nervous, a little antsy, a little puckered, if you will. And
that one
you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Now you got to drop the subliminals, y'all. Got to drop them. All right. So they're taking Brawl into consideration for upcoming releases. This is the idea that you're going to have enough commanders in a bunch of different colors, whether they're planeswalkers or legendary creatures, to let you build a range of colorful decks in Brawl. That's a thing that they're thinking about moving forward. Let's see here, and again, the rotation for the Guilds of Ravnica, what's going to happen there? How's that going to work? And lastly, here's the actual big change. So the actual, if you've played the format and you care about the format, 1v1 now starts at 25 life instead of 20 and gets 1 free mulligan. You had to just do the normal mulligan to 6 and scry 1 if you kept it, and so on and so forth. Now you get 1 free mulligan, 25 life, which again doesn't make it as high as the 30 life which you use in multiplayer. Kind of hits that middle ground of there is control deck possibilities, but an aggro deck can still get there.
Yeah, I like it. The initial form of Brawl was much more Commander-like. Then they were like, well, we need to make it more Standard-like, and this is a good, happy medium. I'm very pleased with all the changes that they've made and the attention that they seem to be paying to the format. Certainly, there was some amount of histrionics based on, Wizards is paying attention to this newfangled format that they just sort of came out with out of the blue. And then there were all of this, immediately problems with it. The 1v1 format being very Brawl-centric, them not really having planned for 1v1, it seems, as opposed to it being only multiplayer and the competitive events that would be side events at GPs and things like that. The in-store support, obviously, is something that needs to come along as the format develops and needs to be supported if they want to make this a successful format. All things considered, I'm pleased with everything that Gavin and Ian Duke said in this article, and I'm excited for the future of Brawl.
Well, the other hurdle that Brawl had to overcome was sort of the lack of online support, where, there was a time there where it wasn't available on Magic Online. And even now, it seems like on Arena, there's this weird dance of like, there's a singleton format on Arena, but you can't, it's not Brawl, don't call it Brawl. And it's like, and so, right. I would argue there's a lack of support on all fronts for Brawl. And so I think it's great that they're doing something at the store level, but from what I understand, it's the leagues don't necessarily have the turnout. Like now that the leagues are available, they're not firing very much. They don't have a lot of people, and so I hope that is across the board and not just papers. I feel like the online avenues could use it too.
You know what I feel like? I feel like making Pauper a real format. Wizards, could you make a Pauper a real format? Stop making up these random formats to sell packs like 4 seconds. This is really not hard.
It's going to be interesting at the end of the year for the Mikesies when we have the head-to-head between Brawl and Pauper for format of the year, with Modern maybe as a close third there. We're definitely going to have an interesting battle.
Or as my friend Kendra says, Pauper.
Pauper?
Can you just make it a real boy for real? You have the power. It's right there. You're the Jiminy Cricket here. Come on, Cricket.
I just can't get it up for Pauper. I try and I try and I just can't.
But for those who can and do, let them have their fun. Let it just be official for real. It's a cool, interesting format. They could make products around it if they wanted to.
Did you know Elvish Rejuvenator from M19 has been like a big hit in Pauper?
Oh,
the Tron decks love it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I caught somebody streaming with it the other day, and it was a big old
That's a pretty great one actually for those decks.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and that's another card that's terrific. I'm actually right now, I joined a M19 online sealed league, and I've got like 2 to maybe even 3 or so decks that I could play, and I just have no idea which one is the right one. Like, do you go for the fast sort of aggro black-red thing, or do you go for the blue-white sort of skies angle? Is that better than the white-black kill everything, maybe hope you win with some crappy 2-1s or something? I don't know.
The life gain, I built life gain during the pre-release, and it was fun. Like all the neat triggers you get from gaining life and draining, and then the nightmare removal spell with the X life. Like if you can play around with the life gain, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
I had 2 of the diamond mares. That was great.
Nice. Well, again, just make Pauper a real boy. That's all I'm asking for. All right. Speaking of things that, no, I'm not. That's a bad segue. The point is. Ruben, this one kind of goes out for you. You're pouring out the 40. Split Second is no longer a program on StarCityGames.com.
Speaking of things, was your segue?
Speaking of things, it's the best I got.
Great segues in the pre-show. We're not going to share them here because this is a family joint, but I had some excellent ones, and you brought speaking of things.
Hey, at least you can.
Do you want another shot at it? Or you
Hashtag professionalism, sir. The point is, Jeremy Knoll tweeted out, unfortunately, Split Second won't be continuing, thanks to everyone who watched over the last almost 2 years. And that's one of those shows that I felt was, they worked very, very hard on it.
Yeah.
And ultimately, maybe it was just the frequency, I think, was one of the things. It was often, I wasn't sure when a new one was coming.
So obviously I was at one point for almost 2 years the voice of Magic the Gathering news with a show that I used to do as well.
And now look at you.
And now look at me in my puddle of filth. No. And so I commiserate with Jeremy Knoll, having previously been a Star City Games employee entrusted with being the face of trusted news in Magic the Gathering for almost 2 years myself, and then having my show being sunset and going away. And so I know that feel, Jeremy. And I really enjoyed Split Second. I thought, when it first started, I was a little skeptical about it, of like, man, are they really going to be able to keep this up, of like basically daily kind of Nerdist style, hit punch, here are the top 3 news stories of the day and they did. They did. It was great. I loved Split Second. I think I saw probably 80% of them, maybe more. Because they're like a minute and a half. They're 2 minutes or whatever, and it's just like, all right, that's how I start my day. That's how I log on to BBC.com, see if the world's exploding yet. We'll go on to StarCityGames.com, see what Split Second has to say, and I'm ready to go out the door. Right? That was like what I used to be able to do. Unfortunately, it seems that Split Second won't be continuing anymore. I think that it was a fun. I still think that there is room for a news show, not like ours. Ours is like a discussion show, right? Ours is long. Ours is
a hybrid. It's a hybrid.
Yeah, ours is like, Good Morning America, as opposed to here's a thing. All right, now go out to your F&M and you can talk about things with people. Like, You're not going to be embarrassed when you're like, I don't know what anyone's talking about. And I thought Jeremy's voice is perfect for it. He's got that pleasing baritone that's just like a warm hug. And it's like every time I come back we're back from the Star City Games tour, and it's just like, it's like a hug from Jesus. And I love the attention and effort and all the stuff that Jeremy did with Split Second. Hopefully people will bug him about when Split Second will be returning as much as they bug me about when Newsening will be returning, because I always get a little fluttery, that's very nice of you to say whenever anybody asks about that. And I have a very similar feeling about Split Second. So
yeah, we haven't heard the last of Jeremy. He implied that he might be moving on to work on other video things, or that they just wanted to do something else, and so we haven't heard the last of him. And he's also been working really hard on making 3DH a thing. You can see him streaming regularly with a crew of people. They have their own Discord, and so you're still going to see Jeremy out and about, just not necessarily in this capacity with Split Second. But great guy. He's definitely been ahead of the curve in a lot of ways, and I'm convinced he'll move on to something great.
Yep, absolutely.
I like the Magius one suggestion as Good Morning Magic. I thought that was pretty good.
Gathering Magic had that for like a second. There was like a breakfasty kind of show. I remember they had like a sun logo, and like they were doing that for a second.
Right, and I kind of ended that one too. I take news shows and I shoot them in the face.
By the way, if you want someone to blame for ending Newsening, you can blame Evan Irwin. That's a good one.
You're like the Thanos of Magic content. You just snap and things disappear.
True. He's also got the same head shape and like chin
really
thing. If you dumped purple on Evan, he could definitely pull off the James Brolin.
5 kids, 5 gems. I mean,
wow.
See?
Amazing. It's so good.
Yes.
Sue, Mary Bob, whatever. Just
the Infinity Children.
Perfectly balanced. That's all things should be.
Yeah, I mean, again, we are the long form. He was definitely short form. I feel like there's just like this. It feels like people are just waiting to crack the code. What's the code? What's the right balance between the production design and the time it takes and the graphics and all that other stuff?
Right, and that's the real thing. The real problem for shows like the Newsening and like Split Second is obviously there's an audience there. The shows wouldn't have gone on for nearly 2 years and this is the same thing with some other programs that have been similar, not the same, is that obviously there's an audience there. It's like, what's the return on investment? What's the amount of time that we are willing to put into it to get that nugget of delicious news entertainment in Magic? Well, because we do need a news entertainment show in Magic. It is something that is necessary. The news inning was close, and Split Second was close. There is something.
Well, I think metrics and audiences and numbers are certainly part of it, but I think it's also about kind of having your finger on the pulse of the community, and whether or not your format is something that ages well or that you can grow along with it. Where we saw for a while there in the greater scheme of things, we saw a lot of websites, not Magic ones, but just general news websites that for a while there were like moving to video, like they were cutting all their print people, all their writers, and they were like, everything's got to be video. We got to do videos. And then it didn't really work. And people were like, I'm not sitting through a 7-minute news thing on my phone. Give us back the articles. And so, if you happen to have found something that was in the zeitgeist and was popular, that's great. Like, you struck while the iron was hot, and that's great. But sometimes those things don't work out, or sometimes you have found a format that transcends and you can go for years and years and years. That's certainly something you have to do, is kind of ride out the cultural waves too.
Yeah, and ultimately the idea of the long form versus short form, somebody's waiting to make that sort of top of the hour NPR like chunk. This is everything you need to know, and we just get it and we're out, we're done. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, listen to NPR. Moving on here to an interesting setup when it comes to M19 packs. Now, M19 has the cycle of comes into play tapped dual lands, where they tap for 2 colors. They don't have the basic land types, but they tap for white and black and red and blue and all the 10 different combinations. That said, the packs contain a similar number of commons, uncommons, and rares to other booster releases. However, this is announced on Twitter from Wizards Magic. However, packs will have 1 of 3 cards in the basic land slot. It'll have a basic land, a common non-basic dual land like Foul Orchard, or a checklist card for Nicol Bolas the Ravager. So you could have one of those 3 cards. And they mentioned something which I thought was also neat, because they have to make draft packs for GPs. And they have to say, like, this is the official pack or whatever that you're drafting. And so for those events, they're going to be removing the basic lands and checklist cards from officially stamped tournament boosters. This means that some packs will contain 14 cards, while others will have 14 cards and a common non-basic dual land. So a bit weird kind of on the pass outs, essentially, you know what I mean? Like, you might not get a pass out, or you might at these like Pro Tour events, not that really affects 99.99% of players. But I thought it was just interesting in that, again, they're kind of changing how these are being distributed in a way that isn't really clear. And this is something that can affect someone like Cool Stuff Inc., for example. When if we want to do pre-orders, you do math on how many you expect to open. If the collation is weird, that's going to throw off your expectations of the number that you're going to open, and that extrapolates off every Magic vendor at that point. Kudos for Wizards for telling us this now, which is appreciated. And again, it only affects some common dual lands that aren't going to be like super hype. This isn't messing with the Mythic print run or whatever. So that's nice. And see, it makes something new and cute to talk about for Core 19 in terms of premier level play.
I do think that the response to this was a little much. Like, people were freaking out. Like, is it 14? Is it 15? Mass hysteria! Dogs and cats live. It's like, calm down, all right? When they dropped it from 15 cards in a pack to 14 cards in a pack in a basic land, nobody freaked out. But as soon as you make it either 14 or like 30% of the time 15, everybody loses their minds. It's not that big of a deal. It is a bit of an issue for, like you said, mass ordering companies like the Cool Stuff Incs., or for GPs, where, rats, I didn't get a color fix. I don't have 15 options in my pack. I only have 14 plus this Nicol Bolas checklist card or whatever. And so there is some amount of something there. It's going to be tougher to track drafts from all, not just the competitive drafts, but the casual drafts. You're not going to be sure if you have the exact right number of cards. That's a little weird, but whatever. This is not that big of a deal.
Well, according to our friend Pharmacist Judge, who we got to see at GP Vegas, he notes here that they rolled all of these back. Everything is 15 cards now.
Okay.
They announced that yesterday on Twitter. You can draft a Nicol Bolas checklist card now, which is fine, I guess.
They'll put 15 cards in every booster, and it'll either be a Nicol Bolas checklist card, or that you won't shuffle into your deck, or a non-basic land that comes into play tapped that has 2 colors, one of the two. And so you will have a token that has a magic card back, a checklist card, or a non-basic land.
Well, and the mathematician of the Magic community, Frank Carson, asked, hey, what's the probability that a booster contains Foul Orchard? Well, Lee Sharp from Wizards replied, said the land slot is 5 out of 12 a common dual land and 7 out of 12 times a basic land. So a given common dual land such as Foul Orchard has a 1 out of 24 chance to appear in a booster.
All right, sure.
So that's
great,
neat, interesting, different.
Hashtag did the math.
Yes, that's what.
At least they did the
does.
math. As long as we know what to expect, we can deviate back towards the mean, and folks like Cool Stuff Inc. can expect what to expect, and you can understand that. All right, 24 booster packs are going to get opened in my draft. We're expecting to open 1 Foul Orchard amongst the 8 players across 3 packs. Cool, we're good.
I appreciate Crazy Crowley's going hashtag Slow News Day, and I'm like, just rolling through the changes here. Gonna move on here to Desperate Ravings. Talk a little bit about community issues and community ideas. Our friend, I believe, potential friend of the show, at least friend of Aaron, Mr. Charles N. Featherer at MTG Dad, brings up some tips or some changes that he would like to see to the Magic pre-release. And when you kind of lay them out, there's 3 changes that he's discussed here, and they all seem very reasonable. The first is a big one, and Wizards, I'm getting too old for this crap. Please,
he really is. Yeah.
Change the midnight pre-releases to allow them to start around 8 o'clock at night, or even 7 o'clock if you'd be all right with it. But we'll just say 8 o'clock to give you a 4-round event or whatever. So you have to build your deck, you have to play the 4 rounds, and by the time the 4 rounds are over, it's after midnight. It's the new day. You know how all the movies do it. You remember when you could watch Avengers at like 8 o'clock or whatever? There's a reason. Because I don't, like, this happened so many times, I just had to stop doing it. I had to stop doing it myself, going to the midnight pre-release, opening up my packs with being excited, waiting 20 minutes to play, something goes horribly wrong, and suddenly it's like 2 a.m. and what am I doing here, and what am I doing with my life? I don't want to finish out the rounds because it'll be till like 4:30 in the morning. No one wants to stay up this late. This is all very reasonable stuff. This is, to me, this one in particular is like, for God's sakes, stop making it stay up all night.
Yeah.
This will
You're
help.
just an old man, I think.
Well, yeah, I'm rattling the cane here, but help my man out. I want to give money to the pre-release.
I don't disagree. Obviously, I'm an old man as well, but there's certainly the audience out there that's like, ooh, waiting for that clock to tick over to get to my midnight pre-release, and I think that there's something to that. I think that's fine. I think that there's also something to be said about having the schedule matching up the world over, like at midnight Greenwich Mean Time, or like midnight Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific, which would be nice for me. You could do it in that way. Maybe when Australia hits their midnight pre-release, we can open it at like 8 in the morning on our time. There's interesting things to be discussed in a Going Infinite style discussion here about how they release and when they release sets. I'm fine with them being at midnight. Like, just go to your Saturday afternoon pre-release, man.
I'd go to the Friday night one if I could, so I wouldn't have to stay up till 4 in the friggin' morning.
I mean, they can't be fine. They have to be a labor of love for everybody involved, for the players, for the judges, for the store owners. The owners can't possibly enjoy being open that late. Like, it just sounds.
It is also bad for store owners to like run an F&M at 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. the day that they're expecting a midnight pre-release. Like those F&Ms never go well, and so that's a little awkward too.
It just sounds like a lot of work from every angle.
Oh yeah, I mean this wears out people. It adds staff costs and stuff. Like if you're normally open until midnight, suddenly you have 4 more hours or 5 more hours even to keep things open and have people there. Look, ultimately, the idea of an F&M pre-release, totally okay with that. That would actually be pretty awesome. You take your chocolate and peanut butter, put those together, and you have a weight problem. So MTG Improvements.
You write that one down. Hold on.
He runs a comedy Twitter. You can thank me later. So the second thing he mentions here is to stop giving players spin downs. Spin downs are a terrible idea. They don't roll consistently. You can't use them in a competitive sense, and yet, yes, it keeps your life total, but it screws up everything else.
Yep.
You can print them without them being spin downs. You know that, right? You don't.
Yeah.
You put the numbers in whatever order you see fit.
I'm getting my handfuls of dice out here.
Oh my God.
I have so many dice because I play Dungeons and Dragons. And there's a reason why D&D specifically references that you don't need spin downs. You don't need them. And you can put interesting and unique designs
do this on dates, too? Just...
This is why I'm single, everybody. You can put interesting designs and things on the 20. For example, I have my Critical Role die here. This is the Grog die. And it's got a little mug of ale on it. You can print randomized D20s with that Rivals of Ixalan design on it. You don't need to print these spin downs who have no other purpose other than to keep track of life totals at casual REL events because, oh, by the way, you can't use them at Grand Prix. You can't use them whenever there's a relatively higher REL other than REL axed, as they say on the Loading Ready Run channel. I think that spin downs are so antiquated, and I have so many that I just want to get rid of, and nobody wants.
Yeah, it's one, and for what it's worth, like there are people who do collect them, and there's people who buy them, and they would still do that if they weren't spin downs. Just to be clear, there's no need to make them spin downs. You can get them manufactured differently. That's right. There's the D&D.
This is my pride and joy right here. The big Tomb of Annihilation D20.
That's sweet. Yeah, so that's the thing. And the last thing that he mentions here is to disallow competitive construction rules / big payouts / more than 4 rounds.
I'm a big fan of this.
Absolutely.
Like, we have a local store near me that gives away like cases. It's literally like pre-release for a case. And like I like my pre-releases to be casual. I spend much of the year being not as competitive as some people, but it's like I worry about metagames and I look at top 8 lists and I'm thinking about optimal choices, and it's like I don't want to do that on pre-release weekend. Like pre-release is the weekend where you go in like your sweats and you're not really sure what the cards do, and like odds are that you're playing with people who don't come out very often, and so they usually don't know what the cards do. Pre-releases tend to attract more couples, more families. The whole environment is just not conducive to being spiky, and we're already encouraged to be spiky the rest of the year. Like why not just have this be like the downtime of like have this be the one or few times of the year where we don't have to do that, where it can be just fun or it can be just lulzy, and it doesn't bring out the sharks. And like I don't enjoy the pre-releases when they're too serious, and I know that I'm sure that some people do, but I like my pre-releases where it's just whatever. I'm here to have fun. I'm not necessarily the best sealed player. I can just kind of try new things, and I just feel like that I've never liked competitive pre-releases. I just think they're bad.
Yeah, I grew up in an era in Columbus, Ohio, where we had these massive hundreds of people pre-releases down at the Veterans Memorial down on the riverfront. And those were cool. And then Wizards did away with them, right, and moved it all to the local game store. If you're going to move them away from that casual or from the competitive environment, if you're going to take it away from the big PTQ style miniature Grand Prix event and move it back to the local game store where you're trying to make it casual, where you have these spin down dice, right? Like you've got these boxes specifically designed for this event. You're at a really low REL. You can't have a massive prize pool.
Decklists. If you look at Charles's thread, Charles is a judge. He sees a lot of judge action. He said that there are stores that even make you register your piles. Like, I don't want to do decklists at a pre-release. Like, I don't even want to do it for like a normal event. But like, I got to do work at a pre-release? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
Well, that to me, and so this is funny because I know firsthand that there are stores out there that have a very competitive community who want this, and this is like to play for a case or to use deck lists and whatnot. And using deck lists was something that happened at the very large pre-releases, because again, Ruben and I, old men, we remember being able to get together with like dozens of our buddies every 3 months and having basically this like party around hanging out and playing Magic with a new set, and it was brilliant. And you go back and watch the Time Spiral pre-release video I made, like the 4th or 5th video I ever made for the Magic show. Like, I just took a camera and like, let's do this, because it was so much fun. That was one of the coolest things about Magic and the entire community that was around it, not just store by store, but everywhere.
I think that there's probably a happy middle ground here where local game stores can run one super competitive, and then the rest of them can be casual.
Sure.
I worry that this is sort of the same problem that F&M has had for a while, in that the difference in how it's marketed is very different than the reality. So if you go on the mothership, if you go on the Wizards website, they make F&M sound like you can pull any deck off the rack or, you know, anything, whatever, and you can go to F&M and you can play. And yeah, you can play, but the reality is that you are bound to face some tier 1 decks. You know, depending on the store you go to, you might get eaten alive. And so there's a disconnect there in terms of how these events are packaged, and pre-releases again are sold as, you know, grab your friends, no experience necessary, come play a pre-release, and then you find out that there's a case on the line and that there's deck lists you got to fill out, and it's like, that wasn't what you told me was going to happen. And so if that's the way it's going to be, then I feel like the advertising needs to be more middle ground of like, come enjoy a new set, right? But don't sell it as something that like you can just take your friends and have no experience, no knowledge, and do this thing, when oftentimes that's not the experience. And they need to really decide what these things are going to be, and then follow through on that.
Exactly right.
This is not something, to be clear, this is not going to be something that comes from the stores, because when you have an area that has a lot of competition or competitive players in it, and you decide you're going straight cash no matter what every single round, blah blah blah, you can have a lot of blowback on that and be like, look, everyone likes playing competitive, and so we're going to make a competitive thing because they like that. Because if they don't, the other store down the street will just go ahead and say, well, you can come down here and play for a case, you know, blah, blah. We're not worried about, you know, the cash. We're here to make money and get prizes and, you know, swim with sharks. Like, that's tough. And for Wizards to choose one would be nice.
Yeah.
You know, have we moved past it or not is the question.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that the Magic Art Book released this week? Was anybody aware of that?
I only know that because I'm one of the 3 hosts of the Magic Mike's show, and had to do research.
I know that because I follow certain Vorthoses, one of whom being my friend Vronos, and they have been particularly unfiltered lately, and I think it's fantastic. But they bring up a really good point, the fact that, you know, Wizards doesn't tweet about their own books. Like,
and then they fail, and then they say art books don't work. This is literally exactly what happened with Arena of the Planeswalkers. With the board game, they're just like, we're going to mark it like garbage. We're going to fix the problems that the first release have with the second release. Literally tell no one that we did that, and say nothing in the meantime. And then when it spectacularly fails, they go, see, board games and Magic never work.
Speaking of art, I didn't know this. Mike Linneman brought this to our attention on Twitter. Apparently, artists don't know when their art has made it into a set. So, like, Mike Linneman has been encouraging people, specifically with the last spoiler season, to if you reveal a card on Twitter, or if you got it from YouTube, if you got it from a source, to tag the artist. And I've been really amazed at the number of artists who's been like, "Thanks, I did that one like 2 years ago, and no one told me." And it's like, were you serious? Like, that's terrible. Like, who's not telling these people? Like.
And if your art gets like put to the slush pile, right, and like gets used later, 3 or 4 years later, you don't necessarily know.
They have no idea. Like, I had no. I think that's terrible.
Yeah. So just to put it on video record, Bastian Deharme did the Liliana that we previewed here. We've
name dropped him, several times.
We've talked about him, of course, but, you know, just wanted to say it again because, you know, lines of communication, they're very important.
Right. And a few people are pointing out in the chat, Kaijudo died very similar, where it was they gave it no marketing push, they didn't really have a plan, and it died, and they're like, see, you can't make any more TCGs work, and the blah 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 blahs. See, also Dragon Ball Super right now is absolutely killing it, because they're marketing that game like crazy, and they're doing a good job.
Dragon Ball
Super. It's a new competitive CCG, and it seems pretty fun. It's no Magic, but what is, you know? But it's marketed very well. It has a lot of really cool things it's doing.
Is it Kaijudo? Is it a better? Is it a quote unquote better game?
That I don't know and can't say.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's all in the marketing. You know, there are some great games that go out there and just wither on the vine. Meanwhile, some games take off and are gangbusters forever. And so it's very similar with card games.
There you go.
Bless their heart.
Well, they're doing a good job of it, and reports are like Dragon Ball is selling like in close to Magic numbers in some areas, and they're like, whoa, that's a whoa, that's a whoa. So they're doing well there. So high five.
Dragon Ball's the game with the
over 9,000. Yes, Goku,
yes, Vegeta, Scions.
Yep. You're doing it. Good job. Keep going.
Got there. So
I don't know how they live, but I'm familiar with certain terms. So.
Right, and we'll talk about the Transformers thing here in a bit. But we got to move on to some M19 policy changes.
Policy.
Oh, Paul, I can't wait to talk about policy. Did I not have this in here somewhere? Oh yeah, we did. Every set release, the judges come out with some amount of policy changes where things are different. We're gonna change things, how things work, just little minor stuff. If you're a judge, you normally care about this stuff, and I'm not even going to go over most of it. I'm going to go over one part of it that I thought was relevant to not just judges, but to everyone. And basically, Toby Elliott, who was in charge of this stuff, said, "Look, we gotta enforce a slow play crap, people. We've gotten way too lax. People are just like tanking for days and drawing things out, and we got to be better at this." And that's one of those things that it is literally a judgment call as to whether you think that person is taking too much time. And he's like, I can't really tell you. When I'm bored watching this, I think it's time to move on. But my board is not your board versus someone else's feeling of boredom. It's like, I'm not sure. But either way, we got to step it up because it's clearly getting worse as events have gone longer and longer.
Yeah, is slow play just a problematic subject for... I mean, the judges are there to make judgment calls.
Yeah.
That is literally their name. By the same token, it is... Let me tell you a little story about being a poker dealer. And my least favorite thing about being a poker dealer is when someone at the table calls clock on someone at the table, and then the floor supervisor walks over and says, "All right, where's the action?" And I'm like, "This person called clock on this guy, and it's his turn to act." And then the floor supervisor says, "Has the player had enough time to act?" And then I go, That's not part of my job description. I don't want to piss off somebody at the table by saying yes or no. Like, that's not on me, but it is on the judges, right? Yeah. Like, this is training that these Magic judges need to have had. And so while the words are nice, we have to call slow play more. We need something behind it, because it's difficult being a referee in any sport. And in Magic, it's a lot more like being a baseball umpire, where, like, this is either a fair ball or it's not. This is either safe or it's not. This is either out or it's not. There aren't as many judgment calls in baseball as there are in football or soccer, or, did this player actually do enough to cause serious foul play, or was this enough of a hold, or things like that. And they're trying to bring it closer to that sort of, you need to have this in your repertoire as a Magic judge, which I think is good. I like that is a thing that they want to encourage, but they got to put rules in place to support what they are saying.
Well, I feel like this is something that has only gotten more attention with the rise of coverage. Like, I feel like if you're at a paper event, I feel like it's not as noticeable, but like when people are watching at home, it's really noticeable. And I feel like this is something that were we not faced with sort of wall-to-wall coverage where it's like you can watch this at Opens and you can watch this at GPs and you can watch this at Nationals, because we're watching so much more Magic, we're noticing this thing more. I think if we weren't watching as much Magic and we were maybe at a time where there wasn't as much coverage, maybe we wouldn't be picking up on this. But I feel like this is an issue that's become worse with everything that's out there.
Absolutely.
And really,
the internet.
Because there's enough discussion about what we're doing with our coverage time, as how much of it is ads and how much of it is actual commentary and how much of it is actual gameplay. And this only exacerbates the issue. Like, even this weekend, I was watching, I was in and out of the chat during the Sao Paulo coverage, and some of those games were just going obnoxiously long, and just a number of judge calls that were happening or even not happening. And chat was just like, come on. And even as a moderator, there's only so much we can stand of just like, we got to go.
It's a function of being on the internet as well. I mean, you're watching this show live on the internet. Watch this. Everyone just wait for a second. That was 5 seconds. That felt like a gosh darn eternity, didn't it? You're on the internet. You got so many other things that you can do. And so slow play really is exaggerated and, like you said, exacerbated when you are on the internet and you have all these other things that you can do. And it is a problem. And the judges are that first line of defense to be able to speed that up.
Okay, so let's talk about a problem that is stupid. And those are my favorite problems, because this one can also be fixed with a judge update. It's so easy and it's so dumb, and it hurts me how stupid this is. There's a card in M19. 100% of the time, if it resolves in two-headed giant, the game is a draw. 100% of the time. Let's talk about Fraying Omnipotence. Fraying Omnipotence is 2 black, 3 generic mana for a rare sorcery that says each player loses half their life, then discards half the cards in their hand, then sacrifices half the creatures they control, round up each time. You're 2 players. You lose half rounded up simultaneously. You die. That's everyone.
Everybody.
That's everybody. So it's a draw for everyone.
Yeah.
This is stupid. This is stupid. Look, no one wants errata in Magic, okay? But if you give me Judge Errata on this one card for this one format that you only play that one time in Limited, I would be okay with that. To say, look, you actually just take half of everybody's stuff combined with this one card. Yes, it's weird, but isn't that what you expected to happen? Versus literally someone in our Discord chat is like, I drew 4 games of Two-Headed Giant.
It wouldn't be so bad if it
that
just
was awesome.
Opponent. Like each opponent would basically just win you the game, because you each have to, because you start off with 30 life, and so each player would have to sacrifice 15, and so it would end the game in your favor if it's at each opponent. But the fact that it says each player means you and the other team has to, so you're each having to sacrifice 15 life, which kills the both of you. And so this does seem like a really big whoopsie that, you know, I don't think anybody, and it's especially striking to me because they just put out Battle Bond, and so you just release a set that is trying to get people interested in Two-Headed Giant. And so you have people that might want to play Two-Headed Giant in Core 19 that maybe didn't care about it before, or maybe have more of a reason to play it again or to come back to it. And then you have a card that really sticks out like a sore thumb in terms of jeopardizing that plan. And it's just like, girl. Like,
well, I mean, you know, let's be thankful it wasn't in Battle Bond, because my God, we'd be dying over here.
No.
We'd be dying. Like, again, this is just one of those weird corner case dumb things that if you had this ruling, no one would care. It's just, why would you do that? It's so weird. And why would you not fix it? It's your game. You can fix this. It's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Move on here to Brazil. Our friends in Brazil. And
love.
Who are all awesome, and who also have a very hard time getting product. It is, and this is with anyone shipping anything to Brazil. And clearly, I've heard of many issues at Cool Stuff Inc. I'm not, necessarily attached to the shipping department, but I hear things and stuff we have to deal with, and how things take a long time. It's also very expensive. I mean, it's to the point where Brazilian players will come to America to buy sleeves and portfolios and product and whatever, and then just bring it back home with them, because that is cheaper and or more efficient than trying to get it through customs, because customs has to open everything and look at everything. There was a tweet from Tulare Community College who essentially said, check it out. In Brazil, all Magic the Gathering booster boxes must be opened and searched by customs. They are then resealed in plain laminate by customs. Even this box from the GP Sao Paulo prize wall lacks the WotC shrink wrap. You can't find the WotC shrink wrap there. It's just not there. It's not that it's fake. It just doesn't exist, because again, they've already torn it off. And customs in and of itself is a weird black box that even in America, because I deal with this stuff, getting stuff in from China, sometimes you just cross your fingers, and sometimes good things happen, and sometimes bad things happen, and they're like, you're going to give us $3,000 for your shipment. And we're going to go, what? And they're going to say, because we took the time to x-ray it, and sucks to be you, bruh. And that's just what you got to do. So every country's import export stuff is different, and this type of stuff just hits Brazil over and over again. There was just another thread this week that Brazil got no pre-release product for Core 19, and then someone in the thread is just like, well, you got to send it like 2 to 3 months ahead of time. And I'm like, what if it gets there anywhere remotely on time? Then they're just going to spoil everything immediately. You can't win with these types of setups.
And there's I don't want to seem I'm not condoning that comment, but is there anything Wizards can do? Like
I don't know. I mean, at this point, it would take...
Because having an entire country, not to mention a sizable country like Brazil with such a passionate fan base, that's not good that an entire country just can't participate in a pre-release. Like,
not just a country.
Right. In order to get things in and out, you need a broker. You need someone who brokers the transaction of getting it from the port through the customs to you. That's a thing that you need, and this is for America. I'm not exactly sure how Brazil.
And they charge a commission, which is what I learned in my season 63 testing. Yeah,
they certainly do, along with whatever
dealers
fees.
Charge a markup, brokers charge commission.
There you go, and along with whatever customs decide to charge you, because again, whatever. What are you going to do?
And
Not
also,
pay it? What are you going to do?
Right.
Leave your stuff there?
Based on, I'm kind of speaking out of my ass here, but I heard based on NPR story that trading cards fall under a weird category when it comes to customs, and so taxes for sending trading cards out of and into the United States are about to go up based on the United States' recent trade tariff garbage that's been happening. I know less about that than I know about Brazil, so that's just another thing that's...
If that didn't make you care about politics, wait till your cards start costing more.
You're like,
there are going to be irate nerds everywhere that were like, what?
Well, I'm also hearing word about electronics and video games getting similar hits. And I'm like, dude, you don't piss off the gamers, man. You don't piss off the gamers. I'm telling you. Don't do it. It's not going to end well.
He's going to have, like, register to vote at their opens.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
So our good friend, Therese Nielsen, who is a treasure, she is our Meryl Streep, I think, almost at this point. And I mean that in the absolute best of ways.
Yeah.
She made an amazing set of San Diego Comic-Con promos that are going to be the San Diego Comic-Con Planeswalkers, and she is selling prints of those. You can pre-order your SDCC exclusive Planeswalker prints now. They are very big. This is 18 by 24 inch. This is some serious posters, y'all. She has them right now, which is amazing. They look great, and she'll start shipping them when she returns from SDCC on July 25th. So you can go to looks like shop.tnelson.com and order those things there. But just helping our friend Therese, who does amazing work.
Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, pointing out some incredible artwork that you can frame and put in your home.
I love that she's still giving us more behind the scenes takes from those cards, and we're definitely getting a couple more glimpses in the sprinkle, which is always welcome. And so it's just really nice to see her process, because you have to wonder like how she's able to keep churning out these masterpieces like that.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
This to me is, I think Therese over time, as long as I've known her at least, she's gotten more and more open. Like as time has gone on, she's just like, well, check out what I was doing with this gold foil on the Liliana piece, right? Like those types of kind of, like insights inside the studio. That stuff is amazing. I love watching the sausage being made. It just makes me love these artists even more. I'm just like, I could never do that. I think that's
definitely a shout out to what I talked about earlier in the show when we were talking about Split Second, of being able to grow with the times, that's just something you kind of have to do now. It's like, we all live online, we're all kind of out there. And it's like, I think one of the reasons she's been able to maintain is that she's been able to kind of see what people want and give them what they want. And so people want a little bit more access. And so she's hip to that, and so she's giving you that. She's giving you the behind the scenes, and that's just a testament to her and understanding, branding and marketing.
Absolutely. So these are $30 a piece individually, or you can get all 5 of them for $125. Again, these are 18 by 24 inch.
It's like Noah Bradley. Noah Bradley just released this print of like when he puts himself on a beach, he knows what people want to see. Like he's giving you what you want.
That's Noah Butt. I'm telling you, that's Noah Butt. There's nothing wrong with that. Clearly the man got, a fine derriere. I'm just saying that's Noah Butt, and there's nothing wrong with that.
You want to see a butt? You got to know a butt.
That's right. Oh, snap. I mean, if I had that butt, I'd be drawing my butt too. That's how that works. Anyway, move on here a little bit to splash damage. I want to cover some of these stories here, particularly the last one. But a new Transformers TCG is coming out, and is coming out soon. It looks like they're aiming for sometime later in 2018. Fans getting a sneak peek at the San Diego Comic-Con and Gen Con, which I will be at, so I can't wait to try this thing out. However, ultimately, to be clear, this isn't really targeted at the hobby market. This isn't targeted at Magic players. This is targeted at mass market. This is the reason that your local game store cannot buy Clue, like the game Clue, from their distributor as cheap as you can buy it right now on Amazon or Walmart.com. And that is
interesting.
God's honest truth, because they target certain products for certain areas. So the mass markets, the Amazons, the Walmarts, the Targets, they're going to have huge orders. They're going to be able to make this thing monstrous, put this stuff in their store and sell a whole bunch of product. So they have those big orders that gets that price down. When your friendly local game store orders like a booster box, a case, and hope it works out, they're not going to be able to get that sweet discount because they didn't order $1 million worth of product. So ultimately what this likely is another way for Wizards to get into the Chinese market. Transformers and the Chinese market, big.
They love Transformers in China.
Love it. Those movies make money like nutso, like they've never make over here in the States. And so to give them their own card game, it's got an English release and it's in Walmart, who cares? No. It's another thing they can use to kind of get into the Chinese, I guess, marketplace, really.
Yeah.
This is kind of unrelated. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I thought of you the other day, Evan, when I was at pre-release. Before pre-release, we had a group of young boys that were playing Commander, and I was just busy kind of doing my own thing, and I overheard one of them say, "Don't worry, you guys. It's just a mind's desire." Hashtag Storm and Walmart.
Hashtag Storm and Walmart.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a product that should have been in the local game store as opposed to I mean, to be fair, the new Bumblebee movie looks pretty good, and I haven't liked a Transformers movie since I think the first one. I don't even think I liked the second one.
No, the second one was bad.
It makes a bunch of them.
The second one had the racist ones and it's bad.
That's right. The first one was okay, and this Bumblebee movie looks okay too, and hopefully there's some sort of tie-in between the new movie and this game. I think that makes a lot of sense. As we've talked about before, typically Hasbro makes more money from Magic than any other single intellectual property that they have, except for when there's a Transformers movie in theaters. And then they make more money from Transformers. So this is an opportunity for them to sort of combine forces again and maybe get a little bit of that Magic flavor in on something else. It's another avenue to victory for them, and hopefully it succeeds, because I'm interested in seeing Hasbro continue to build new things, right? And get more boats and fewer castles, if you've been a longtime fan of the show.
Oh boy!
And I think that would be cool.
I don't need to play Transformers because I am a Transformer.
Heyo!
I'm not even done.
All I'm saying is I would not expect there to be like Friday night Transformers anytime soon. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's not really where their
other than
angle is.
Aaron's local drag show. That's Friday night Transformers. That's different.
I already have my new drag name all figured out. You're gonna love it.
Storm and Walmart? That's
no,
my
I'm
new
gonna
drag.
reveal it tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
But right now it's Kibler Crossroads.
Kibler Crossroads right now.
I keep
I'm
up with the Aaron Campbell drag queen names.
Thank you. Yeah, it's Kibler Crossroads right now. I'm leaning towards moving to Stencia Blood Halls, so we'll see how tomorrow goes. So
nice. Well, we have brands. We have brand builders. We have people who know their brands. We have the games that are somewhat attached to Magic, but aren't Magic. We have hashtag that Hearthstone money, but we also have that hashtag that Shadowverse money.
Right.
Because
bringing it back to the Brian Kiblers.
Yeah, Brian Kibler.
Second biggest Brian Kibler news of the week.
It's true. We have a whole Brian Kibler scale. And he notes that he's going to be battling Jerry Thompson in a Shadowverse show match at the Anime Expo 2018. This happened a few days ago, 5 days ago or so. But it's not so much that it happened or who won or whatever. Essentially, the idea is that, wow, you see Brian Kibler and Jerry Thompson without a Magic logo on them, without a Magic brand or a Magic reseller logo anywhere on them, being attached to a different collectible card game that focuses on a different audience that they may have never heard of before or never seen them before, and gives them more spotlight. So this is a fantastic thing for every player who is able to do something like this. Leap at the chance of doing something like this. It can only bring good things and broaden your market and make people say, who's Brian Kibler? Who's Jerry Thompson? You know, that's how brands are built, literally by all those questions.
Yep, and if you are a brand along those lines, getting in on Arena, getting in on Shadowverse, getting in on Eternal. Artifact is going to be coming out in the next 6 months to a year, something along those lines. Hearthstone obviously is already exploding. Anytime that you can extend that sort of reach beyond your typical audience, great idea. And obviously Kibler's a master.
So I'm going to go ahead and pick a winner for our free booster box.
Ooh.
And Ruben, you're going to tell us about how our friend of the show, Eric Froelich, did at the World Series of Poker.
Sure. Well, as you all know, I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, Sin City as some call it, and one of the biggest events of the year is the World Series of Poker main event. The World Series of Poker is a series of tournaments, about 70 or so, that take place at the Rio here in downtown Las Vegas. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in buy-ins, millions and millions of dollars in prizes, and the main event is the piece de resistance. It's the main event, and basically you get a ticket that costs $10,000 when you show up, and this year around 7,300 people entered the main event of the World Series of Poker, the second largest main event that's ever occurred here in Las Vegas, coming in second place to 2006 when they had like 8,700 or some ludicrous number right at the start of the poker boom. Enormous tournament, huge respect for whoever not just wins but makes the final table. It's a lot like getting a Pro Tour top 8 if you are able to make the final table of the main event. And it's a huge tournament accomplishment. It's a feather in your cap if you're able to make a deep run in the World Series. 7,300 people started the tournament, and Eric Froelich, Efro, Hall of Fame Magic the Gathering player, Pro Tour Top 8 competitor, my former roommate and friend of the show. You may have seen him in chat every once in a while, and also a competitor of Aaron Campbell in the Vintage Super Leagues and all across Magic, who writes for Channel Fireball and does lots of great stuff like that. His run ended today in the middle of day 7. Imagine playing a tournament 12 to 14 hours a day for 7 days.
Wow.
Today, he was finally eliminated in 23rd place at the World Series of Poker 2018 main event. For his trouble, he's going to go home with $282,630 for his initial 10K investment. Well done, Efro. Got a little bit of Efro on coverage today. Got the bust out hand when his queens got knocked out by kings. We had some good Athena Froelich with Honey the dog action in some of the ESPN coverage as well, and on Poker Go, if you guys were paying attention to that. And so today was day 7. They're whittling down from the initial 27, I think 26 actually started today, down to the final 9. Today in a couple of hours, and then the final table will begin later this week. But unfortunately, Eric Froelich's ride ended here. But it is a major accomplishment. It's an incredibly taxing tournament from a mind sports perspective. It's one of the most intense mental and physical things that you can do in poker, if not the most mentally exerting thing that you can do in poker. One of the toughest games mentally upon you in any mind sport. Not just that, but physically. It's you're there for hours on end, exerting lots of brain energy to try to outsmart everyone at your table for a week in a row. It's crazy. And so congrats and condolences, I think, are in order.
Absolutely. All right, so the winner of a Magic Core Set 2019 booster box is Zachary L. from Atusha, New Jersey.
Joyzy, congratulations.
Congrats.
Joyzy.
Yeah. Zachary L., I will be in contact via the email that you provided as you sign up for the contest, and we will figure out getting your box to you as it releases in just a couple days.
Nice. Good job.
Yeah, excellent. So congrats on that. All right, so we're going to turn the corner here to the finisher. Now, a popular Reddit thread this week asked Magic players to finish the thought, never trust a Magic player who blank. And by the way, top comment is Alex Bertoncini. Well, so Magic,
course.
I know, right? So Magic Mike's being the untrusting sorts, how would you fill in the blank, Aaron?
Well, never trust a Magic player who has 15 individual cards in their sideboard if they can't be trusted to make up their damn minds on which piece of affinity hate to use, and has 6 different types of graveyard hate, and I can't trust that kind of chaotic energy anywhere near my person. 6? Why? Why do you need 6 pieces of graveyard hate in Legacy? You don't. Why?
I saw that you went off on that.
6 pieces. That's vintage. In Legacy, Who hurt you? Who hurt you?
And then you're just like, Serenity. Nice deck. Nice action you got going on over there.
Parking garage.
They were like, that answers 4 of my 6, but here's this ravenous trap. I guess. I don't know.
Hate you. All right, Ruben?
Never trust a Magic player who doesn't come prepared. I'm a Boy Scout. You need to if you need to ask a judge for a pen or a neighbor for some dice to keep track of your loyalty, I simply can't depend on you and your disorganized ass. All right? You need to come ready.
Come correct, if you will.
Come correct. That's right.
There you go. Well, look, never trust a Magic player who doesn't tap their cards all the way 90 degrees or taps their cards to the left or any of that garbage. That's weird. People, look, I'm here if you need me. 90 degrees to the right, people. The symbol is trademarked for a reason, and if you need it, well, I'm Evan Irwin, and I'll tap the cards so you don't have to.
Branding.
Yeah, get there. And that ends another live episode of Magic Mics. Thank you for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Ruben.
Thank you. See y'all soon.
That's right. And we'll move on here to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsor, CardHoarder.com. I want to check to see if we had any
there we go. We got to thank
subscriptions.
Yeah.
So I don't miss those.
I think we had one.
JBA734 is resubscribed for 3 months, so thank you very much. Mockroth gave us some bits. Barium Bananas gave us some bits. House of Shadow also gave us some bits, which we appreciate it. H2O Happy Do was hosting us, which is nice. Ramiel
You said Barium Bananas?
Barium Bananas.
That sounds like a terrible combination. Have you ever had a barium shake? They're awful.
No. But number 217 gave us some bits. Ramiel 117, J-Dubs 2008, and Mockroth gave us some bits, which we appreciate. Yeah. With that said, I want to thank our sponsor.
And shout out to Efro, who's in the chat.
Oh, Efro's in the chat. We got there, everybody. Yay. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsor, CardHoarder.com, my co-host, Aaron Campbell, Ruben Bressler. You guys for watching or listening, and I hope you support us at Patreon.com/MagicMics. Please follow, tweet, favorite, like, share, subscribe, do everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online at twitch.tv at Magic Mics, on Twitter at Magic Mics Cast, our Magic Mics subreddit, or like the Magic Mics page on Facebook. Talk to us privately at MagicMicsPodcast@gmail.com. Follow the audio-only podcast at MagicMicsPodcast@Libsyn.com, or find us on iTunes, or join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mics. Good night, everybody.